welcome back to my channel. So a couple weeks back I made these really amazing vegan banana nut muffins, and I just wanted to share the recipe with you guys because it was so good and it was really easy. And I tend to buy a lot of bananas because I use them in my smoothies pretty much every morning, but sometimes I can't use all of them up before they get way too ripe, and so this is a really good option for using up those bananas and not having them go to waste. Alright, so I'm just going to go over the ingredients that you'll need in order to make these muffins. You're going to want 3 to 4 bananas, and you want them to be extremely ripe. As you can see, my bananas are almost completely black, and you want them to be this ripe because when they get to this stage, they get really sweet and they get really soft, and that wonderful banana flavor that you taste in banana bread really comes out when they're this ripe. So make sure they're extremely ripe and almost blackened, and then you're going to want just a couple pinches of salt, like literally just a couple of shakes. And then I'm using a 1.5 cups of crushed walnuts. If you're allergic to nuts, you don't have to use them, or if you don't like walnuts, you're more than welcome to substitute like a cup of sunflower seeds or whatever nuts you want, but I really like walnuts, but again, you don't have to use them. And then you're going to want about a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, and then 1/2 cup of whatever oil you want to use. I'm using coconut oil, but you can also use canola oil if you want. And then I have some cloves and some nutmeg, and I'm just going to use just a couple of pinches of each one in this recipe. And then you want 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. This one is Madagascar organic vanilla extract. And then on the top of these muffins, I'm just going to put a little bit of this raw cane sugar, and this just adds like a really nice kind of caramelized glaze to the outside of them. You don't have to do this step, but it really adds a lot to these muffins. So I suggest it, but again, if you don't have the sugar, you don't need to use it. And then over here, I have a 1.5 cups of flour, and then you're going to want 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and then 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And I'll have all of the measurements down in the description box just to make sure that you guys get the measurements completely right. But baking soda and baking powder are different, and so you just want to make sure that you get the measurements correctly on this. Alright, so the first step to making these muffins is you want to peel all of your bananas and put them into a bowl, and you're going to mash them up with the 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Alright, so my bananas and my sugar are all mashed up together, and it's okay if there's some clumps. You're not going to be able to smooth out all of the clumps of bananas, so that's okay, don't stress about that. But I'm going to go ahead and take my 1/2 cup of oil and just add it in, and then I'm going to stir that in along with my seasonings, my cinnamon, my cloves, my nutmeg, and then my 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, so for my nutmeg and for my cloves, I just wanted to show you how much I'm going to add in. This is what about a pinch or a pinch or 2 looks like. And so this is my cloves. I'm going to add that in along with a pinch or 2 of nutmeg, and then I'll show you how much salt I'm going to use. Literally just like 2 shakes. Not very much at all. Alright, so now I'm going to add in my nuts, and then I'm just going to stir all of my wet ingredients and my nuts together. I want this to be well mixed before I add my dry ingredients, because once I add my dry ingredients, I just want to gently fold all of it together because you really don't want to over mix it. So I just want to make sure that all of my wet ingredients are well mixed before I gently fold my dry ingredients into it. Alright, so I just put my nuts into my wet ingredients and mixed it all together, and now I'm just going to take my baking soda and my baking powder and add that in, and then I'm going to slowly add in my flour and just start folding it in. So I'll put in about, I would say about 1/4 of my flour, and then I'm just going to very gently kind of toss it together like that, and then I'll add just a little bit more. But the trick is you really don't want to overmix this. Okay guys, so my ingredients are all mixed up, and now I'm just going to put them into my muffin tin, and I lined each one of these cups with these little paper covers, And I'm just going to spoon my mixture into each one of these cups about 2/3 of the way full. See, I just did one just to show you about how full you want them. And then I'm going to top them all off with this organic raw sugar. Okay, so I've spooned all of my mixture into my little muffin cups, and then I'm going to take my raw sugar and just sprinkle a little bit over the top of it. That way when it bakes, it gets kind of crunchy and caramelized over the top. And the reason why I'm using raw sugar is because if you can see in there, the sugar granules are a lot larger, and so they just have a really great texture to them. But I'm sure that if you want to use regular white sugar, it'll be just fine. But I just like to add a little bit, kind of like sprinkles over the top. Like, that should be enough, just to give it like a little bit of a crispy, caramely edge to it while it bakes. Okay, so I'm done adding the sugar to all of my muffins, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these into the oven on 350 degrees for about 20 minutes, and I'm just going to cook them until they fluff up, get golden on the top, and if I stick a toothpick into one of them, it'll come out clean. So I think that'll take about 20 minutes, but if not, I'll just bake them for a little bit longer. Okay guys, so here they are, all done, and I just baked these for about 20 minutes, and they're completely done, and these just look so good. I love the sugar on top. That's probably my favorite part about this recipe, because it just adds like a nice crunch and a nice texture to them. But yeah, that's it for this recipe.